here we are playing SEGA Saturn, and we're going back 20 years ago. This is the holiday season of 1996, and there was quite a few games available, such as Virtual Cop 2, and Nights into Dreams, and even the Christmas version of Nights into Dreams, but let's check this one out. Sonic 3D Blast for the SEGA Saturn, and it has bonus levels that are exclusive to the SEGA Saturn version that are really nice. Now let's check the game out right here. So we see here the game's about to begin. And we have Sonic the Hedgehog right here, and one thing that's right away that you notice that's quite a bit different from the SEGA Genesis version is that when you walk onto the bridge actually bends back and forth, which is pretty cool. Actual real 3D, look at that. Everything about this game is just a touch better than the Genesis version of the game. I mean, the Genesis version for Genesis was actually a masterpiece, but the Saturn version was just quite a bit better, in my opinion. Let's say if you ended up getting the Saturn version, you're going to be quite happy with this, in my opinion. I think it's an awesome game. It's one of the better 96 Christmas season or holiday season games that you could have received for holidays. It's actually pretty awesome. And, if I would have received it back then, I would have been really happy with this. This game came out during the holiday season of 96, and if you had a Saturn back then, you might have been likely to get this underneath your Christmas tree. Let's check it out. And, this version of Daytona USA is very similar to the first one, except with improved graphics and very different soundtrack. I am a fan of the first Daytona USA soundtrack much better than the second one. However, the graphics from the second one are much nicer, as you can see right there. And that right there is the title screen, Daytona USA Championship Edition. And there is an arcade mode, Time Attack, 2-player battle. So if you had a brother back then, or a sister, you guys can both play the game. Click on arcade mode. Check that out. And we have several different tracks you can choose from right here. And one of these tracks, I believe this one right here, you will recognize from the first game. It looks pretty similar, if not the same. A very popular Daytona USA vehicle right there, Hornet. It was featured in Fighter Mega Mix. It's an actual character that you can actually choose in the fighting game. Can you believe that shit? Gentlemen, start your engines. Look at that. And here we have the game right here. And we're going to hold down the acceleration button right here, auto drive. And we are driving right here. We're going to bypass everybody and get into first place. Now this is on the emulator, so you expect a few graphical glitches off in the distance. Don't be surprised by that. As you can see right there. So it plays pretty much identical to the first Daytona USA. But nicer sound effects, and it does have nicer graphics. If you play Daytona USA, the first one, you know what I'm talking about. There is actual horse that you can play as. If you enter a cheat code, good old cheat codes back then. You don't get those anymore nowadays. Well, back then, cheat codes were very popular, and you can enter one in and you play as a horse. And you can literally make your horse run across the grass, and you can cheat, and you can enter in first place real easily doing that. The horse is awesome. So I think that's one thing that this game might be lacking, but I never actually tried it. Never looked it up either. But that was my favorite part of the first game. And you had a Saturn back in 96. You would not be disappointed by this game if you received it underneath your Christmas tree. Or for Hanukkah, or for Kwanzaa, whatever it is that you celebrate. If you received this as a gift during the holiday season of 96, you were pretty much guaranteed to get a really good game. This game was awesome. Perhaps you were overseas during the holiday season of 1996, so let's check out this game right here, which I'm surprised did not release in the United States, but For whatever reason, it did release during the holiday season in '96 in Japan. It's Destruction Derby. Let's check it out. Whenever all these, look at this. This does not end. Look at this. There we go. Destruction Derby. Look at that. The SEGA Saturn version of Destruction Derby. You know you're gonna kick some ass with this game. Look at this. Buckle up and sit tight. This is one of my favorite old school racing games. It's pretty much you smash the shit out of stuff and that's it. You don't have to take it serious. You'll see in a second. Different views right here you can actually change, and the graphics are actually really nice on the Saturn. The smoke effects are very, very different on the Saturn version versus the PlayStation version, because the PlayStation version has transparency textures for smoke effects. On the Saturn version, they actually have like real smoke textures. They're not transparent. And I kind of like the SEGA Saturn version better because of that, because it looks pretty cool. I do know that this game does work with the 3D Saturn controller, which might have came out around the same time. This Nights into Dreams just came out around the holiday season in '96. So this game was compatible with the 3D controller, and the controls were even better than using the actual regular 6-button joystick. And then we have this game right here, WWF World Wrestling Federation in your house. I mean, what an awesome game. And we have the Acclaim introduction right here. It's like spectacular looking. Look at that. Now, a few months prior to this game, WrestleMania the arcade game actually released on the Saturn. So literally, you had WrestleMania the arcade game, and then maybe 2 or 3 months later, in your house. So I would probably consider both of those games a holiday season game, and you could have the little fancy introduction right here for in your house with the awesome Raw's War music. It becomes a music CD. You can actually listen to real wrestling music, which is actually pretty awesome. And right here, you can choose your different battle modes, very similar to what you would have in WrestleMania the arcade game. So as you can see there, the arena is pretty much the dungeon in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I believe that's where it's located. Pretty much where Bret Hart, his father, actually had that dungeon over in the basement of his house. And that's where all the wrestlers trained. In the Hart family. Or anyone that was associated with the Hart family. It's actually pretty cool. And also the sound effects are loud as hell. And you see all the animations in the background of all these guys watching the match. Just looks like a really, really bad indie show. Like there's only like maybe one row of people in the back over there just watching the match. And you hear there, you have the Bret Hart music right there. It's actually pretty awesome. So every time you get your ass kicked, you hear wrestling music, which is actually pretty awesome. And if digitized wrestling games weren't enough, we had Mortal Kombat, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 on the SEGA Saturn. Now, this is right here is the European version of the game. But it did release over in North America during the holiday season in '96. I believe in Europe it did also. This is the title screen for Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 right here, and you are going to be pretty happy with this game, I can tell you right now. Let's choose Mortal Kombat. And here we go right here. We have Mortal Kombat 3, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 on SEGA Saturn. See, I don't want to pick Novus and then, you know, be called the chicken shit, because I'm not exactly sure how the controls are on this. I never actually played this version of Mortal Kombat before. Alright, so we are Liu Kang. Mess this bitch up. Oh my god, almost jumped what? Yeah, how do you like that? And there's that guy there on the bottom of the screen that's popped up out of nowhere. It's told me that my moves are very toasty. For a while I always thought he said whoopsie, but it turns out that he says toasty. And the controls are actually pretty good on the Saturn as expected. The Saturn controller is the best controller in the world for fighting games. It's official, I just said it. There's also Fighting Vipers that came out during the holiday season in '96. Another good fighting game. It wasn't 2D, but it's 3D, but very, very good fighting game. Now, not only did the Saturn have a handful of various different racing games and a few fighting games here and there, and a couple of wrestling games too, which is actually pretty cool. Yeah, sports games in general. They had Madden 97. I believe they had an NBA Jam game. There's quite a few different games available for the Saturn during the holiday season. So no matter what type of gamer you were, you definitely weren't going to be disappointed. There's plenty of games on the Saturn. Now, unfortunately, during the holiday season of '96, the PlayStation had over 60 games available that released during the holiday season of '96, which is insane. Pretty much slaughtered the N64 and the Saturn as far as competition goes. But if you had N64 or Saturn, you were going to be happy no matter what, because you had good games on either console.